Let's dive right in today because we are going to fundamentally change how you look at the sky above you. We almost always think of our atmosphere as this purely physical space, right? Totally separate from the living, breathing world down on the ground. But in this explainer, we're exploring a truly mind-bending idea. The sky is actually a biological landscape. The massive weather systems that dictate life on Earth aren't just happening to the forests, they are literally being engineered by them. For the longest time, we've basically been taught that weather is this chaotic, unyielding force driven entirely by the blind dynamics of ocean currents and solar heat. But a new view is emerging, and it reveals something far more sophisticated. Our forests actually operate as a massive, collective, planetary super engine. They aren't just passively sitting there receiving rain. No, they're actively controlling the weather, manufacturing clouds, and quite literally steering global wind currents. So it really begs a pretty provocative question. Do forests actively steer the global atmosphere? Like, can a massive collection of rooted, totally stationary plants really act as the architects of the sky? Well, let's break down the sheer mechanical power of this biological superengine, and we'll start right with its primary fuel.
Phase 1, the flying rivers.
Okay, so if we zoom way out to the massive scale of the Amazon basin, the absolute foundation of this engine is a process called transpiration. To understand how a plant controls the sky, you really have to look at the microscopic mouths on their leaves. Every single day, just one mature tree pumps hundreds of gallons of water straight from the soil directly into the atmosphere as invisible vapor. Imagine a vast jungle canopy basically breathing out this sea of thick mist as the morning sun hits the leaves. You've got millions of microscopic mouths collectively creating high-pressure water highways right up in the sky. And to really grasp the magnitude of this, just look at this number, 20 billion. In the Amazon basin alone, when the entire forest transpires at the same time, it pumps 20 billion tons of water into the sky every single day. It's nature's ultimate sweat session. That's actually more water than the massive Amazon River itself dumps into the Atlantic Ocean. To put it in perspective, this upward surge of moisture creates what meteorologists actually call flying rivers, distributing life-giving water across thousands of miles. Phase 2, seeding the storms. Now that we've got these incredible macro-scale flying rivers, we need a microscopic spark to force that moisture to actually turn into rain. Because here's the thing, simply loading the air with billions of tons of water vapor isn't quite enough. In a pure vacuum, water vapor cannot easily condense into liquid droplets to form clouds. It desperately needs a physical surface to latch onto. Without a microscopic speck to grab hold of, all that humidity would just stay suspended up there as an invisible gas. And this brings us to a wildly fascinating mechanism, biogenic cloud condensation nuclei, or CCN for short. Here is where the forest acts as a masterful weather technician. It doesn't just provide the water, it intentionally releases millions of tons of microscopic organic particles up into the sky to provide the seeds. These biological rain seeds float up, giving all that vapor exactly what it needs to finally condense. So what exactly are these rain seeds? We're talking pollen grains, fungal spores, and aromatic terpenes, the very compounds that give pine trees that distinctively fresh smell. As these volatile particles float upward, water molecules lock onto them like magnets. The forest is literally brewing its own storm clouds out of thin air, forcing rain in places where it otherwise would never ever fall. Phase 3, the vacuum engine. Okay, so we've seen how the forest makes clouds, but this brings us to the absolute climax of this explainer, how forests generate massive, continent-spanning winds. This is all based on the revolutionary biotic pump theory, developed by physicists Anastasia Makareva and Viktor Gorshkov. It essentially proves that forests play a very active thermodynamic role in driving wind transport. They don't just sit back and ride the wind, they generate the actual vacuum that pulls it in. Let's walk through exactly how this builds into this beautifully self-sustaining loop. Step 1, the forest pumps immense water vapor into the sky. Step 2, using those organic rain seeds we just talked about, the vapor rapidly condenses into liquid rain clouds. Now, step 3 is where the physics magic really happens. When a gas turns into a liquid, it shrinks dramatically in volume, and that causes a sharp drop in atmospheric pressure right above the trees. Finally, step 4, this localized drop in pressure creates a massive biological vacuum, violently sucking in moist, heavy air from the nearby ocean to fill the void. Crazy, right? Without this vacuum engine, the interior of our continents would literally turn into completely barren, hyper-arid deserts.
Phase 4, the green blueprint. Let's bring all these massive, swirling global weather systems back down to a relatable, everyday scale. I really want you to take this powerful thought away with you. You are looking at the deliberate, engineered output of the green world below. Seriously, the next time you look up at a passing rain cloud, or honestly, even if you just glance over at that peaceful little houseplant sitting by your window, remember what you are truly seeing. You aren't just looking at random geography, you are looking at the direct result of active, highly sophisticated biological engineering.
But this leaves us with a pretty massive cliffhanger. Manipulating the global atmosphere to this degree requires an absolutely unending supply of new plant life to keep the engine running, right? So to guarantee that life spreads, plants had to solve a final, brutal puzzle. How do you launch your offspring across entire continents to maintain this atmospheric superengine, especially when you literally cannot move a single muscle? So let me ask you, are you ready to crack open the high-pressure ballistic engineering of the ultimate capsule? Because the very seeds that grow into these weather-controlling titans operate as incredibly sophisticated ballistic technology. But that is a mechanical marvel we are going to have to unpack in our next explainer. Until then, keep looking up and remember the architects of the sky.